Hey folks, John here, Old Hickory Forge, welcome back. So what's going on today, I got something pretty cool to show you. I bought a pretty sweet sword from IKEA, but of course, I gotta put it together myself. So if you didn't figure it out from my super hilarious joke, we're getting moving on a sword project. So what I got here to start, this is 36 layers of 1084 and 15N20. Now, this is a lot of steel. Even for a sword, this is a lot of steel. The reason for that is the pattern I want to make is something called ladder Damascus, and doing that type of pattern manipulation, you end up losing about half of your material. If you don't know what that is, I'll explain it to you real quick and we'll get moving. So, if you don't know what ladder Damascus is, it's a pretty simple method of pattern manipulation. You cut and fold or cut and restack, whatever you want to do to get to the layer count you want. I'm going to be going for like 280 something. For the pattern to really work the way it's supposed to, you need, at least 100 plus layers. I've done it with lower layer counts than that, but the effect just really isn't the same. So, you get your layer count, and then you create these grooves either by forging them in or by cutting them in, and then you either grind your billet flat or forge it flat, depending on what you did. And that kind of brings the layers that you cut through to the surface of the steel, and it almost creates the illusion of depth or movement in the material. It's really, really pretty. I'll leave a link to a green beetle video down below. He just uploaded recently where he kind of explains the theory behind that a little bit better than I can. But that's what's going on. First thing I've done before I get started is actually make up a new set of dies for the press. With the factory dies, whenever I'm setting welds on big billets or like a canister or anything like that, I got to kind of go work in sections and worry about the edges and whatnot. With these big flats, I got a lot more surface area to play with. So it'll just make those first few heats a little less fussy, should be a little quicker. Obviously, that's a pretty big billet. It's going to take a little while to come up to heat, so I'm just going to keep turning it and watching it. I got the forge cranked up to about 5 psi, so we should hit welding temps no problem. So it's a bit hard to capture the steel on camera because it's so white hot, but we're pushing about 2300 degrees, so I'm going to soak it a couple more minutes per side just to make sure it's hot all the way through. We'll be good to set that first weld. One of these days I'll get like a high temperature camera or sink some money into the video making setup so you can see in there a little better, because the surface of the steel starts to almost kind of sweat, and that's how you can really tell when you're at forge welding temps, but I can't really show you right now. So that first weld actually felt really good. I didn't lay into it too hard because with as tall as the billet is, it would be kind of easy to, I don't know if fold is the right word, but kind of squish it in a way you don't want it to squish. So I'll do a few more of those before we start drawing it out. All right, second pass. Let's see if we can work the seams a little bit. So this here is after the fourth pass. It's feeling good. It's behaving as one piece of steel. I've worked the seams a few times and it's holding together. So we'll just keep drawing out until we get enough length for the cut and fold. I have to draw it out enough so that after I fold it over on itself, it's not too wide to fit in the forge. So that's something to think about. Alrighty, so here we are after another couple passes. It's looking pretty good. Once I double it up, it should fit in the forge just fine now. It's a little rhombus, but we can fix that as we grind it flat for the restack. I got another billet to work on while that cools, so I'm gonna get that in the fire. Normally what I like to do when making Damascus is just clean up one side and then cut in from the opposite side with a grinder most of the way through so I can fold it over on itself. It's just faster that way. But the 6-inch grinder that I normally used to do it wouldn't quite handle this thick of a billet, so I just went ahead and cut it in half on the bandsaw, and I'll tack it back up with the welder. Good news is that gave us a chance to look at the material, and it's looking pretty sweet, so we'll keep moving. Alrighty, so here's what we got. I spared you the pain of watching me doing the cut and fold process again, but it was repeated 2 more times, so we got a total of 288 layers there. Now it's time to actually make the ladder pattern, do the pattern manipulation. So like I said at the start of the video, You can either grind the grooves in and then forge the billet flat, or you can forge the grooves in and then grind the billet flat. I'm going to forge them in because that'll get us more length. I'm hoping on the finished sword I really don't have to do too much forging on the overall profile, so I can avoid distorting the pattern too much. I got to do a little bit of creative fabrication to figure out exactly how I'm going to get the grooves forged into a uniform thickness, but I got an idea, so let's get moving on that. So what I got figured up, I've taken the fullering dies I use to put fullers in my hammers. They're 3/4 of an inch wide. And I welded on, just barely tacked. I didn't even try to do a good job because I only need them for this one thing and I want them to be pretty easy to remove later. They're 3/8 of an inch thick. That should leave me plenty of thickness to work with. This way, they'll stop 3/8 of an inch apart. So I can forge those grooves in and then grind that whole baby flat and have a 3/8 thick piece of ladder Damascus sword stock. You know, hopefully it works. Hey, if it looks stupid but works, you know, it ain't stupid. I got my grooves forged in. Spacing's not totally accurate because I just kind of eyeballed it, but that's okay. It'll just make the pattern more interesting, I think. There are special dies you can buy specifically for doing this, but, you know, I didn't take the time to do that. But anyway, we got 33 inches of material. There's more than enough here for the sword we want to make. So, if anybody needs me for the remainder of 2020, I'll be here grinding this thing flat. Alrighty, that actually didn't take as long as I thought it would, just a couple hours. There's a few low spots here and there, but I really don't want to thin this whole thing down enough to get those out. I want to have plenty of thickness to work with forging out the blade. But I got one little bit at the end polished out a little bit, taking up the grits. We'll throw it in some acid and get a peek at our pattern. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is ladder Damascus. How cool is that? This is a pretty light edge. I didn't go very deep, but, you know, you get the gist of what's going on in there. How freaking pretty is that? So there we have it. One 288 layer ladder Damascus sword stock. Billet is 32 inches long, 1 3/4 wide, between 3/8 and 5/16 of an inch thick. There's a few thin spots here and there, but there's still plenty here to work with, and we got plenty of time to address that as we forge the blade out. I'm super excited about this project. I have really great charity in mind. That'll be announced whenever the sword is finished, because I don't want to get everyone's hopes up and this thing break during the quench or something, which I really hope doesn't happen because this is a solid 3 days worth of work. I'm hoping to have the completed sword ready to go by around November. You know, hopefully time allows me to get enough time to work on it and everything like that. But either way, it's gonna be pretty sweet. I'm gonna go ahead and call it here for this video because last sword project I did, I kind of liked the sequence I did of episode 1 making the steel, episode 2 making the blade, so on and so forth. So next video on this guy, I'll be forging out the blade, grinding it. We'll see if we get to the heat treat and we'll go from there. But that's all I got for you. If you like what you saw, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Always more cool stuff coming. Patrons of the channel, huge shout out to you guys. You guys are super cool. And like I said, that's all I got for you. Y'all take care.